So, hi everyone. My name is Federico, and this is Cuttle's weekly live stream. Um, this week is inspired by a post that Bonnie made. Um, she posted this template on Facebook, and then there were some questions in the comments about how to make it happen. And so that is my goal today. So the cool thing, I mean, I'm not going to replicate her template, of course, but I want to do like the sort of basic structure of how to set it up. So if we look at it, the template here, is the mix and match pattern designs. The cool thing that it has going on is that you can choose any shape here with this selection. We got a flags, we got an oval, square. So there are a bunch of shapes, but you can also choose the pattern in the background. So there's lightning, lines. And there is a combination of scoring patterns and Engrave patterns, which is cool. And even further, there is this. This one is fun because it has both kind of deeper engraves and like lighter ones to get this cool like pattern going on. So this is super cool and clever, but I wanted to show you how to set up the kind of mix and match situation with the picker over here. So that's the idea. Let's get started with the kind of meat of it. I'm going to close these. I'm going to close this, and I have a simple project here. First, I'm going to show you how to create like the basic structure of the pattern. So I'm just going to call it pattern for now. And so the basic idea is that we need to have a shape component. So let's choose like a basic circle. I'm going to do like a 4-inch circle. Let's make it red right away. So that's going to be a cut. So I'm going to call this component the shape. And then separately, I want to have a pattern. So I'm going to create another component. I'm going to call it the pattern. And I'm just going to create a very simple pattern to see how things operate. So because I created a 4-inch circle, I'm just going to grab myself like a little rectangle guide to know where things are going to be placed. And I'm going to turn this into guide. And so let's just do like a simple line. So I'm just going to draw a line, like a perfectly vertical line with the pen tool. And then, because I'm going to use it as a score, I'm just going to make it blue. And I'm just going to repeat it to create like a simple pattern here. So I'm going to choose the linear repeat. So that repeats the same shape over and over. And then every time it will displace it by this amount. So let's create like a, let's put those lines every 1/4 inch, let's say. And then let's fill it up by increasing the number of repetitions. So the rectangle was just to kind of get a sense for where things are landing. So I can even get rid of it now. So now the basic structure is that like in a separate, let's say cut component, we mix those two. So we need to place the pattern first. Then we need to place the shape on top of that. And then we need a way to sort of cut out everything that falls outside of the shape. And so the modifier in this case is called the mask. So I'm going to select both shapes, go to modify, and then there's this option called mask. So as you can see, the mask is the equivalent of like, say, cutting out that circle out of a piece of paper and then putting it on top. And so whatever comes through the circle is what remains. But sometimes you want to keep the mask, like in this case. So when you select the mask modifier, there is an option right here that says keep mask. So when you check it, then we end up keeping that circle that created the mask. Sometimes you want to keep it, sometimes you don't want to keep it, but in this case, we want to keep it. So that is just the basic setup of how we mask things. And the nice thing about this setup is that then whenever we go back to any of these components, we can even alter these shapes. Like let's say if I were to change the scale to make it an oval, then altering that shape also alters like the mask part. So that's the basic idea. So let me create another. The next idea we need to figure out is how to switch the shapes. So here's where we're going to be using this like switcher component. So let me explain it carefully. So let's go. I guess I'm going to call this one the mix and match. So the idea is that we want to have like different shapes as components. So I'm going to create them. I'm actually going to rename this component the shape A. And the fun thing is if I duplicate it, then it's going to name it shape B. It's like the following one. And if I duplicate this one, it's going to call it shape C. So I just duplicated a bunch of empty components. And so let's just create a series of simple shapes. The first one, I'm going to go back to that circle, and I'm going to make them all 4 inches just to like have a sense of the kind of pattern I need to fill. The shape B could be a simple oval. The way I created that other one was like I grabbed a circle and I made it, 4 inches by 3. So yeah, the scale is not uniform. Then let's grab another one. We can use a heart, for example. That would be a nice one to do. So I'm going to search for heart here, and I'm going to place it on the center. And let's make it 4 inches as well. It'll be 4 inches tall. Let's do another one. Why not? I'm going to say the shape D. Shape. Because these are all just kind of grabbed and scaled, but like you can always create your own shapes. Like say you want some arches. So I'm going to grab a rectangle and a circle, join them with Boolean union. And then I actually want these to be also about 4 inches tall. So I'm going to scale it by clicking here and 4. So it's just going to do the scaling for me. All right. So now in a separate component, I'm going to create over here. The idea here is that, I'm going to call it the cut, is that I want to be able to select any of these existing shapes. And so there is a kind of built-in option for that. So if I search over here for the switcher, there we go. It's in the advanced category. I can grab that one as if it was just any other component and place it on the center of the canvas. So the way this one works is that if I, whenever I select it right here, you'll see that I have this like shape selector. Let me move over here. So in this shape selector, I can type whatever I want. So right now, as a default, it came in with a star. So this is the star that is grabbing. I can also grab, like, say, a rectangle. If I type rectangle, it will give me a rectangle. So that is because it is grabbing this shape over here. But of course, these are all kind of like connected in that like these are built-in shapes in Cuttle, and these are shapes that I created. So I created this shape A, so I could also type shape A here. Notice that if I start typing, I get like all the ones that I created. So I'm going to click on it. So that's shape A. And importantly, notice how shape A here is named with a space, but here it comes without a space. So if I put a space, it was going to get confused. So do something to know. So similarly, I could type shape B or shape C, and then it's going to choose any one of those. But we want to give the user an easy way to choose the shapes. So what we want, I mean, instead of like having to type something kind of arbitrary. So that's why we can create a parameter that has the kind of ability to switch or select. So I'm going to go over here and create a new parameter. I'm going to call it the shape right away, or shape choice. And then I'm going to make this parameter of a different type. I can select the types here, and then there is an option called select. So when I turn a parameter into a select parameter, I get these like options. So I get to set the options that parameter is going to have. As a default, it has first and second. So if I set them, you'll see that now I can select first or second. But these can be any arbitrary text that you choose, and you can always change it. You can click here and go to edit, select options. You can add, say, something like third and fourth, and then set them. And now I have any of those. But notice that they're not really doing anything. They're just kind of not connected to anything. So I want to be able to connect these here to my shape, to my switcher. But let's make it more readable, more understandable. So let's edit the options, and then instead of shape A, shape B, and shape C, I'm gonna just actually type the names of the shapes. So I'm gonna do a circle, oval, and heart. Let's start with 3 only. So now to connect the choice to the switcher, it's not pretty. I'll be the first one to admit that. It's we need to type some funky code. So I'm gonna type it like this. So we need to do curly brackets, and then square brackets. And in the square brackets, I need to put the parameter name, so shape choice. So we can assign whatever we select here. And then inside of the curly brackets, I need to create I need to pair the text that is here to the components. Because so we're creating a lookup table. You can forget about that, but that's what it's called. So we pair the text and the components like these. So if I want to pair the circle, so I need to type that as text, so in quotation marks, and then I need to do colon, and then the component name. So I need to do shape A. Notice that also it doesn't have a space. So if I do it just like that, I get the circle. But if I were to choose any other, then it gets confused because I haven't assigned it. So let's assign the next one. So I need to do quotation marks, oval, and then colon, and then the shape, the component that I want to be associated. And I need to separate this with a comma, like so. So I added a second one. So now the circle and the oval work, but not the heart. So let's add those others. So I need to do comma. So I'll do heart, colon, and that's shape, quotation marks, colon, shape C. I can type shape C, okay. And let's do the last one, which is the arch. And that would be shape D. And I have my shape choices. So circle, oval, heart, and then I didn't add the arch to the choices. So I can always add additional ones. I can just edit those select options and type arch. And let's see if everything's working. Yeah, we're good. So another way in which this could fail, or you could run into trouble, is that if the text doesn't precisely match, also gets confused. Computers are too literal sometimes. So if for example, I type circle with lowercase, you'll see that it also says what is that? What's the So the text here in the choices needs to precisely match the text in the switcher. So okay, now we have that set up, and now we need to set up the pattern. And this is going to be very similar. So I'm going to come over here. Let's create 2 patterns to start with. So I'm going to create a pattern A. You can name these whatever you want. I'm just doing it in a relatively organized fashion for myself. Duplicate it. So I have 2 patterns. And also the order here on the left doesn't really matter. but I'm gonna move it up like so. So I always kind of know that I have all my shapes first and then all my patterns. So let's create 2 patterns real quick. So I'm gonna use another 4-inch rectangle guide for myself. And the previous example I created, I could copy it perhaps. So I did like vertical lines. I'm gonna create like diagonal lines just to change it. So I'm gonna create a big line here. Oops, I don't want it to curve. Let me repeat that. Pen tool, click, hold shift so it's perfectly vertical, then finish it. Okay, so I got a vertical line. I'm gonna make it blue. And now I'm gonna rotate it like 45 degrees. So I can select it, let's put it in the center. And then for rotation, I can click that corner for freely rotate it. But if I hold shift again, then you'll see that it's constrained to specific angles. So 45 degrees looks good. So let's move it over. And let's repeat it. So I'm gonna use that modifier, the linear repeat, every 1/4 inch, seems good to me. And then let's just fill it up. And I don't need that rectangle. So that's a pattern of diagonals. And then let's create another pattern. It could be a little more complicated. So let's do another guide. I'm gonna make it into a guide this time. Yeah, let's do like rectangles. I'm gonna grab a rectangle. I'm gonna rotate it 45 degrees by holding shift. Let's make it blue. Now I'm gonna use, instead of the linear repeat, I'm gonna use the tile repeat. It gives me like a sort of pleasing set of like overlaps. And let's increase the repetitions. Yeah, kind of fancy for something so quick. I'm gonna get rid of that. All right, so now I have 2 patterns. And I can come over here to my cut, and I'm gonna use another switcher. So I'm gonna bring it in, switcher, place it here. And similarly here, I could simply type, the pattern A, that gives me that pattern. And I could type pattern B, and that gives me the other one. But then the operation I want to happen here is that they get masked by the shape switcher. I'm gonna rename it so I don't get like confused. So I know one switcher, this one, the one I already made, is the shapes. So I'm just gonna call it the shapes. Shape switcher is fine. And then the other one is called the pattern switcher. And so I need the shape to mask the pattern. Actually, maybe I should set up the choice first. Set up the choice first. So I'm gonna hide this for now. So I'm working on the pattern switcher. Let's create another parameter called the pattern choice. This one should be type select, and then I can type names for my patterns. I'm gonna call it diagonals, and the other one will be like diamonds. So I have the 2 options. Now I need to connect those 2 options to my pattern switcher. So I'm gonna do something similar, the same that I did before, which is I need to type that silly JavaScript expression. So curly brackets, then I'm gonna square bracket, that would be pattern choice there. And then we create the text component pairs. So I know that I have diamonds. I need to type it exactly the same. So that's text, so it's in quotation marks, then colon to connect it to pattern A. then comma to separate it, then quotation marks for the next one, which I called, what did I call it? Diagonals. Sorry, I did diagonals first. Okay. Diagonals is pattern A. Okay, we're good. And then the other one is diamonds. Colon, pattern B. Yes. Is it working? So if I choose diagonals, I get diagonals. If I choose diamonds, I get diamonds. Cool. So I get that choice. Now let's do the magic part where we connect them. So remember that with the mask we need to have the mask on top of the pattern. So I'm gonna move the shape switcher above the pattern. I'm gonna make it visible again. And now I'm going to select both of those and then go to modify and select the mask modifier. And I need to keep that mask. So now I can do the kind of mix and match situation. I can choose any heart, any shape here, oval, and then I can choose diagonals or diamonds. One thing that is nice to do is that we can actually override the color of each one of those shapes. So I don't have to go in and change each one of them to red. I can just do it here, meaning I want the stroke color to be red. So these are like cuts. So now, whatever I choose, it should have a red stroke color. I think I messed up these arches. Yeah, look, the pattern doesn't go all the way up. So I can just come over here and change the pattern. I just need that line to be longer. So I'm going to edit the line. And I can just grab that anchor, hold shift so it's straight, make it longer, and I'm done. So in the cut, yeah, that looks better. Cool. One last, well, not the last thing, but perhaps once you have this set up, you might want to bring in some patterns that you created elsewhere. We can always do that. So let's try that. I have an SVG of a hand-drawn pattern. So let's add it. So I'm going to create another component. That's going to be pattern C. It can have space or not, doesn't. So I'm going to move it up here. It doesn't affect much, but so I'm going to bring an SVG that I created elsewhere, like hand-drawn on an iPad or something. Or something you purchase. So I'm going to go to import SVG. I have this pattern here. And it's a little heavier perhaps, so it's going to take a little bit loading. And this is how it came in. So it's a bunch of kind of like tear shapes, kind of silly tear shapes. I'm going to place it on the center. And then just to make sure that it kind of matches the size of all the other shapes, I'm going to grab a rectangle, make it 4 inches again. And here, as long as it's kind of, my pattern kind of covers that rectangle, it could be a little bigger. Something like that. I'm good. I don't need the rectangles, I'm going to hide it. So now let's plug it into the rest of the setup. So we need to do 2 things. We need to add it to the pattern choices. So we edit that here in edit select options. And so I'm going to call that one tiers. Hand-drawn tiers. Drawn. Tiers drawing. I can set those options, but now it's not doing anything. Well, let's go back to the cut. So if I select that one, it gets confused again because there is no pairing in the pattern switcher. So we need to do that pairing. So we add another one. So that's the second operation we need to do to add it. So comma, I need to type it exactly the same. Tiers, space, drawing, quotation marks, colon, and that would be pattern D. And just press play. And it's showing me everything here because I'm kind of like editing the component. So sorry, I'm like selecting here inside of the group, not the component, but I need to get out of it. So cool. So that's how I bring my own hand-drawn pattern into it. And I can still select the other ones, and I can still, change. This looks neater once you present it on the README. So if I add just that cut component, it looks nice. You get this kind of like simple switcher. And you get this kind of like combinatorial thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Oh, I wanted to mention too that we are not limited to score patterns. We can also use engrave patterns, like in Bonnie's example. So for that, we only, we can do it exactly the same. Let's create another pattern. Pattern ABC. Oh, I skipped C. Okay, mistakes. So for pattern E, I'm gonna create an engrave pattern by just making it black. Maybe like a checkers thing. So I'm gonna create a rectangle, grab a rectangle, make it like 1/2 inch. And let's make it black. So it's an engraving. And let's do a tile repeat. So I'm gonna select it, go to modify, tile repeat. To do a proper checkers, I think I need to, I'm gonna hold Command so I can move the transform center of the pattern to the corner. So now when I get zoom in. So now when I move the displacement like this, I can snap it to this corner. So that the way I get my checkers. And then additionally, if I keep on increasing the repetitions here, you'll see that it grows kind of diagonally. It's nicer to use this option here called zigzag. So it kind of zigzags back and forth instead of kind of growing like this. And then I just make the repetitions more. So that's my quick checkers pattern. So then I don't need that initial rectangle I made. I'm going to hide it. And pattern E. So let's do that same operation I did before. So I need to add it to the pattern choice by selecting select options, checkers, set them, and then let's go back to the cut component and add it to the pattern switcher. So same thing. So the name, checkers, colon, and that would be pattern E. Select it from the drop down here. And the mask should take care of everything. So if I select checkers, it should be like nicely masked. And then, when you send it to your laser, because they're filled shapes, they should work as engravings. Cool. So that was half an hour of messing around with the switcher and the masking patterns. So yeah, cool. Thanks a lot for watching. I think there's a lot of potential here with like mix and match options. You can of course add other elements and color choices and things like that. But like I think this gives you a pretty solid kind of base for creating cool both score and engraving patterns. All right, cool. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the comments and suggestions, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.